Three names sit at the top of Korea's fame economy: Kim Soo-hyun, Lee Min-ho, and Song Joong-ki, actors whose fortunes are often reported in the nine-figure range, with estimates placing them around $120 million, $110 million, and $95 million, respectively. But this isn't just a story about money. It's a story about what money means in an industry where your face is a business, your reputation is a stock price, and one headline can change everything overnight. Because the richest actor isn't always the most talented. It's the one who survives the pressure test, the breakout that turns into a national obsession, the endorsement era that prints money, and then the public storm, controversy, backlash, or a narrative that threatens to rewrite their legacy. Tonight, we're tracing one high-stakes timeline for each man, spark to explosion to crack to stamp. Not gossip, just the moments that built the fortune, and the moments that tried to break it. Before we count a single dollar, here's the truth. Net worth numbers online are estimates, not official receipts, and different outlets can list wildly different totals depending on what they include: contracts, real estate, business stakes, taxes, debt. Still, the rankings are useful as a story map, because the real question isn't just who is richest, but how an actor turns fame into an empire. In this episode, we're following the commonly reported headline estimates that put Kim Soo-hyun, approximately $120 million, Lee Min-ho, approximately $110 million, and Song Joong-ki, approximately $95 million, at the top of many richest Korean actor lists. We'll treat those figures as reported ranges, not absolute facts, and we'll focus on what's measurable: career moves, market power, and the moments that tested their reputation. Here's the structure for each actor. 4 checkpoints. 1. The spark, the early role that made the industry pay attention. 2. The explosion, the project that turned them into a global commodity. Bigger fees, bigger endorsements, bigger leverage. 3. The crack, the public storm, controversy, backlash, or a narrative shift that threatened their brand value. No rumors, only widely reported public events. 4. The stamp, what still prints money after the hype: longevity, brand trust, investments, and global fan base strength. At the end, we'll compare them on 3 things: earning engine, global brand pull, and crisis control. Kim Soo-hyun's spark wasn't the loud overnight sensation kind. It was the slow build kind: skill first, momentum second. Early roles showed a specific strength. He could play softness without weakness, confidence without arrogance. That balance is rare in K-drama, and it became his signature weapon. Then the industry watched him level up fast. Projects like Dream High and the historical Smash Moon. Embracing the Sun weren't just hits. They were the proof that he could carry a national obsession on his shoulders and still look effortless doing it. Then came the explosion that turned him into a Pan-Asian headline: My Love from the Star. This wasn't only a popular drama. Its reach spilled into everything: fashion, catchphrases, beauty trends, and a level of cross-border fandom that made him one of the most in-demand endorsers in the region. Reports and profiles have noted how the show's popularity, especially across Asia, helped drive a massive endorsement era around his name, where Kim Soo-hyun stopped being just an actor credit and became a marketing guarantee. That's how the money story forms. In this industry, wealth doesn't come from acting fees alone. It comes from stacking: one undeniable hit, then endorsements, then long-term brand partnerships, then the leverage to choose projects on your terms. Around this period, Kim's career becomes less like roles and more like events. Even a cameo can generate headlines, and a comeback becomes a market moment. He later signed with the newly formed agency Gold Medalist, a company that has also been involved in TV production, Another sign of how top-tier actors increasingly move closer to the business side of the machine. But here's the crack. Because the higher your brand value rises, the more fragile it becomes. In 2025, Kim faced major public backlash after allegations circulated online about a past relationship involving late actress Kim Se-ron. Kim publicly denied key claims at a press conference, and he and his agency described the allegations as false and said they were pursuing legal action. At the same time, the controversy triggered real-world consequences. Multiple brands reportedly severed ties, showing how quickly endorsement power can flip when public perception shifts. And that's the real pressure test for a richest actor narrative. Not whether you can become valuable, but whether you can stay valuable when the conversation stops being about your work. Kim's response strategy was direct and legal: denial, public statements, and lawsuits aimed at clearing his name. Whether the public accepts that story in the long term is something only time decides, but the moment itself proves the rule of modern fame. Reputation is not a bonus, it's an asset. Still, the stamp of Kim Soo-hyun's career is undeniable. A rare combination of blockbuster roles, international fandom, and brand magnetism strong enough to build nine-figure estimated wealth narratives around his name. And now we move to the actor whose fame became global before streaming made it easy: Lee Min-ho. Lee Min-ho's spark is the kind that only happens when timing, character, and public hunger collide. In 2009, he broke through as Gu Jun-pyo in Boys Over Flowers, a role that didn't just make him popular, it made him instantly recognizable across Asia. Overnight, his face became a genre, the perfect drama male lead with status, swagger, and a soft spot the audience could feel. That early era built something more valuable than ratings. A global fan base before streaming made global fame easy. Then comes the explosion, and it's built on repetition of impact. The Heirs in 2013 turns his image into a full-scale export. Fashion, lifestyle branding, overseas attention, and a sense that wherever K-drama goes, his name goes first. This is how wealth forms in the Korean star system, when a lead role doesn't end with the final episode but expands into endorsements, appearances, and long-term market trust. Lee becomes the kind of actor whose casting isn't only creative, it's commercial leverage. But Lee Min-ho's story has a crack that most richest actor lists don't emphasize enough: the cost behind the image. In 2006, his career was interrupted by a serious car accident that left him critically injured. The crash also resulted in fatalities among the people in the other seats. It's the kind of real-life event that quietly reshapes a career, physically, mentally, and professionally, long before the public notices. That reality surfaces again in the most public obligation a Korean male star faces: military service. Because of severe injuries from the 2006 accident, Lee was assigned to complete service as a public service worker rather than active duty, something that drew attention precisely because his fame made every detail a headline. The Korea Times noted a rare public explanation around the decision, showing how even medical facts can become part of celebrity scrutiny. There's also the spotlight crack that follows icons everywhere. Privacy becomes impossible. Lee's relationship with Suzy became major public news, and when it ended, the breakup was also confirmed publicly. Another reminder that for top-tier stars, even personal chapters become public property. So what's his response? Lee doesn't survive by winning the internet. He survives by outlasting the cycle. He keeps his brand clean, returns carefully, and builds control from the inside. Working under MYM Entertainment, where his sister is noted as co-founder/CEO, tightening the circle around his image and decisions. That's the stamp. Lee Min-ho represents longevity as a business model. Not the loudest scandals, not the messiest headlines, just an enduring export-level celebrity identity that can pause, return, and still feel like an event. Here's the thing about becoming too famous. Your success doesn't just make you rich, it turns your life into a public property. And for Song Joong-ki, the climb to an estimated $95 million didn't feel like a straight line. It felt like a rocket that later had to survive re-entry. After Descendants of the Sun, his name wasn't just attached to a drama. It was attached to a cultural moment. The kind that sells everything: phones, drinks, suits, even the fantasy that some stars live in a cleaner universe than the rest of us. At his peak, reports described him as the face of dozens of brands in a single year. The kind of endorsement storm that turns popularity into an income stream you can't even count in real time. And then the camera followed him into the dream life details, real estate included. Reports around the Song couple divorce coverage mentioned high-value properties, including an Itaewon home purchase that became part of the public conversation about wealth and status. But this is where the fairy tale cracked. In June 2019, Song Joong-ki publicly confirmed he had begun divorce proceedings from Song Hye-kyo, an announcement that hit fans across Asia like a sudden power outage. Reuters described the shockwave and the mourning online, because the perfect couple narrative had been marketed so hard it felt like a brand collapsing in real time. Then came the cold legal punctuation. Court mediation approved the divorce, with reporting that the settlement did not include alimony or division of assets. What do you do after a public ending like that? You rebuild your control. He signed with a new agency in early 2020, another quiet move that signals a reset behind the scenes. But even the rebuild had noise. In 2021, residents raised complaints tied to construction near his Itaewon property. His agency responded that a corrective plan had been submitted to address concerns and minimize inconvenience. Then he did the one thing that always works in celebrity economics. He gave the audience a new obsession. Reborn Rich ended with massive ratings, reported as peaking at 26.9%, the kind of performance that drowns out old headlines with new power. And in 2023, he confirmed another life chapter, announcing marriage to Katie Louise Saunders and that they were expecting a child, framing it as precious, personal, and carefully chosen. So here's the question that sets up our next part. When the money number is huge, what is it actually buying? Freedom, protection, or just a louder spotlight? Now we put the three reported fortunes on the table. Kim Soo-hyun, approximately $120 million. Lee Min-ho, approximately $110 million. And Song Joong-ki, approximately $95 million. As headline estimates, not audited facts. Different outlets calculate net worth differently, but the pattern is still revealing. These numbers are basically a scoreboard for who built the strongest fame-to-cash pipeline. 1. Earning engine: how the money is made. Kim Soo-hyun's engine is the modern one-hit turns into a multi-year endorsement empire model. Massive drama impact, then brands stacking on top. Lee Min-ho's engine is longevity. He became export-level famous early and kept the brand premium through consistency. Song Joong-ki's engine is momentum spikes, big global eras that translate into fees, endorsements, and a public-facing luxury lifestyle narrative. 2. Global brand pull: how far the name travels. Lee's advantage is that his global recognition was built before streaming made it easy. He's a long-running symbol of Hallyu. Kim's pull is event-level comeback power. Song's pull is massive when the project is massive. His peaks hit hard. 3. Crisis control: what happens when headlines turn. Kim is the clearest proof that reputation is an asset. Brands reportedly cut ties amid the 2025 controversy. Lee's public image stays the most stable. Song's story shows how to absorb a public life shock and redirect attention back to work. So here's the real takeaway. Those headline net worth numbers, often reported around $120 million for Kim Soo-hyun, $110 million for Lee Min-ho, and $95 million for Song Joong-ki aren't just about acting. They're about leverage, the ability to choose projects, command endorsements, and protect a brand that can generate money even in silence. But the final twist is brutal. The same spotlight that builds an empire can threaten it overnight.